I'm Ashton from EventChain for Investment Pitch Media and FinTech News Network. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Jeremy Kauffman, the CEO and founder of LBRY. Jeremy, thanks so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
I'm glad to be with you, Ashton.
I'm glad that we're here because a lot of great stuff's going on in LBRY, and I'm excited to learn a little bit more. I think you guys are having a pretty strong push towards the beginning of 2020 here. But if you could kick it off for the viewers by just giving a little bit of background on why you started LBRY and what was the vision that you saw for this community-run marketplace and content distribution network.
Yeah, so absolutely. So LBRY is the fancy way is it's a blockchain-based, decentralized digital content protocol that facilitates the discovery, distribution, and purchase of digital content. That's a fancy way of saying we want to make services like YouTube, which is I think what brought us together here today. Mm-hmm. We want to make services like that possible without the Google existing, without having that middleman who has control over your channel, who has the keys. And so that idea was there from the very beginning. Can we create technology? And blockchain is a key part of it, of what made it possible to build this kind of technology.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And you guys have been one of the more long-standing blockchain projects, if I'm not wrong. How long have you guys been around for now?
Yeah, it's funny what constitutes old in the blockchain space, because by any other company standard, we're quite young. But
Definitely.
yeah, our blockchain launched in June, 3.5 years ago, right?
Okay.
3.5 years ago. So that's June great. Of 2016. That it's kind of an old school project in that sense, right? It was a couple of people sort of hacking on it in the beginning. No ICO. When I say the blockchain launched, the functionality, the very bare bones functionality, no graphical UI. Compared to now, we have web apps and a much fully featured ecosystem.
That's great. And there has been a lot of word about LBRY on social media recently, on the traditional social media platforms that I've noticed. But at the same time, traditional social media platforms like Twitter and YouTube, as you mentioned, they seem to be really full of noise, not very transparent, and there's hints of censorship as well. How are you guys making this social media experience more fair and transparent for everybody that's using it?
Yeah. So, well, in terms of transparent, everything we do is open source. We publish regular reports in terms of everything the company is doing. There's separate things, transparency and the kind of user experience. So in terms of the user experience, the big aspect of LBRY is that we're leaving end users in control, right? So there's only publishers and end users are going to have a say in what they see and what they watch. We're removing our ability to have a say. Now, we still have to write code, and so that does sometimes mean that you're making algorithmic choices and that kind of thing. But even in that sense, everything we do is open source. Everything can be read. Everything can be forked, so you're never tied into one algorithm. It came out with YouTube recently that they have people just giving specific scores to channels. You don't know what yours is. And it's essentially, this is a good guy, this is a bad guy. Don't show the bad guy, show more of the good guy. And they accidentally leak some of this stuff. And you can see it in a Reclaim the Net article. And this is just ridiculous. Like, maybe you can get better results that way. I'm not ruling it out, but you shouldn't hide this stuff from people. So
definitely. Yeah. Well, with that YouTube, mention recently, it was not even 2 weeks ago when a lot of the big YouTube influencers that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers all received strikes on their videos that had been made from years ago, and it seemed like everything was fine, and then all of a sudden this content is considered bad, and all of a sudden there's a strike on your channel, and then their channels get deleted, and a lot of these content producers are actually using that as their main source of income as well, because they do it every day. So it's interesting to see, how do you see the difference between, those people that are deciding what's right and what's wrong and writing algorithms? When it's open source, it's great that people are able to see how, what the code is. But what is, LBRY's stance on people that produce content and whether it's deemed good or bad? And then as well, how does LBRY touch on controversial content or content that could be considered, illegal?
Yeah, so our stance is, as much as possible, is to not have a stance. So we see ourselves as a technology company that's creating technology. Technologies like HTTP or SMTP, these are power the web, these power our email. We don't expect there to be layers of interference and censorship at that level of the protocol. And so the idea is the same kind of thing here. Let's just protocolize digital content, moving bits around and saying who published them. I'm not going to say our job is the easiest thing, especially in blockchain land, but it's not the hardest thing. There are people, there are harder technical projects than this one. We can do this and we can protocolize it. We don't need to be trapped in a single platform in a single place. So I can get into the specifics of how we deal with it. It gets complicated. But it's also not that different from the traditional web in the sense you just have to go after the people, right? You can't go after one party to say take down a website, and you're not going to be able to go after one specific party to say take down a piece of content on LBRY. It's so what we've done is we've just taken the way that the web works, which has some of these properties, and we're applying it to digital content, so you're not trapped in one place. I think I may have missed part of your question.
I just was curious. Yeah, no, it was great. And the final part of the question was just touching on, if you guys don't have a stance and do the algorithms have things to remove illegal types of content?
Yeah. So if we're told that content is illegal, first we verify, is this actually true? But we're registered TMCA agent. We're a United States company. We try our hardest, which gets hard in blockchain land because these laws aren't always written with this technology in mind, but we're trying our hardest to follow them. And so we register if something is illegal. We put it on a blacklist. The software that we ship is, in terms of the way that it's configured, is not accessing that stuff. Also, none of our servers, no way that we're participating, will ever host that stuff. Can people configure their software to do things illegally? They can. We strongly discourage them to, but you can configure an HTTP server to do things illegally. Right? This isn't new. You can do illegal things with technology. So I am worried a little bit with blockchain. There's always, anytime new technology, people think, well, crime X, but this way, and then there's a big brouhaha about it. And I am worried that that's going to happen in blockchain land. It's people can commit crimes with blockchain tokens. People can commit crimes with bricks. You can build houses with them too. Yeah,
for sure. And I think that you guys have a great host of good content on the platform, and there's a lot of people that seem to be joining. Have you guys had a lot of growth in the last, as you guys continue to make better UI and more updates?
A ton. Alexa confirms if you want to see our web particular. But we of course predated even the web stuff. But a huge surge of YouTubers. We're talking, I think, thousands of YouTubers just in the last couple of weeks coming on to sync their content. Some really big ones. In fact, the one we're sending out, I think this email may not have gone out yet, but whatever. I don't care talking about it. So Naomi Wu, the sexy cyborg, will be featured in our email letter about new content creators that just joined. And she's faced some censorship issues herself. She's a very popular creator from China. I believe millions of followers. And it's exciting. There's been a really big surge in interest. And I think people are really realizing, even if YouTube made a mistake here, if you don't have the keys, if you don't control your identity, if you don't control your content, you are building a business on top of quicksand. You are. You never know when the rules are going to change underneath you. And it's only with technology like LBRY that can you have that kind of trust, have that confidence that you're not going to get bait and switched. The rules of the game aren't going to change without warning, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And as a content producer myself, I've noticed that I'm looking for alternative platforms to post content on. But one of the main problems is that YouTube has this giant network effect that everybody's there searching for it and you can't get off the site. And it's great to have that, censorship-free site where we can voice our true opinions. But how do you guys find, besides the fact that you just have a gradual increase in users moving to the site, is there any kind of turning point where these new sites will all of a sudden, get mainstream adoption?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's a classic business problem, two-sided marketplace, chicken and egg problem, right? And so the answer is that you work at the margins. So you find the people who are the most underserved, who are the most affected. You also, again, using that kind of economic thinking, you'll see what we did with the YouTube program, right? You find ways that are low cost for someone to participate in your marketplace or low effort, right? And that's a big part of how some of our content got there originally. Now we have a lot more original content, and we had original content in the beginning, but a lot of YouTubers, we found some YouTubers came on, they're like, oh yeah, I clicked the button a year ago just to feel like my content was safe. And they come back a year later and they found that they have, 5,000 followers, and they've been accumulating funds and all, and they have an audience on LBRY, and they're like, oh wow, this is really cool. I just kind of did that on a whim because it was easy.
Yeah.
And so that's so you look at doing things like this. Yeah, you can't expect the amount of people who are going to just jump in with 2 full feet to something completely new. You have to find ways of like slowly easing them in, low cost, low friction, and that's the way we think about doing that. And that's why we have more than 2 million pieces of content on the network already, including I think we're at 30,000 plus YouTubers who are co-publishing, a lot of original stuff. You can find Hollywood films on the library, so there's a ton of stuff on there already.
That's great. Wow, that's great growth. And to just elaborate on that a little more on the content creator side, I know I've used LBRY and I've done the YouTube synchronization myself, and it seemed really easy. But what are the specific incentives for content creators to sync to LBRY, to reap rewards, and to build contributions to build a community?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for YouTubers coming onto the platform, we offer rewards based off of the size of your audience to start co-publishing, and it's one click. It's all described at LBRY.com, LBRY.com/YouTube. So that's exactly what Ashton went through. Hopefully you found that process pretty easy to do. And you get monthly rewards as well as rewards for views, although everyone gets rewards for views, so that's not specific to being a YouTuber. The YouTube specific rewards are really just how big was your audience before you started publishing on LBRY. And it's all a pretty easy process. You can come and check it out. And then once so we construct your channel for you, we then send you your wallet file, and that wallet file contains the keys to your channel. And if you retain control of that wallet file, you are the only person who has ultimate control over that channel.
That's great, and it is very easy to use. Now, I know it's great to use, and there's a lot of people gaining every day, but you guys are probably working on more updates, and you have a roadmap for even more development features throughout 2020. Maybe you could elaborate on what's coming up next.
Yeah, we're just working on making our 2020 roadmap public, which will definitely be public before the end of this month of January. And I will talk about some of the sexier stuff coming up next, because I know that's what everyone wants to know about. But I want to say that actually one of the biggest things is continuing to make the same stuff better. What does YouTube do? You can watch videos, right? You can describe it really simply, but truthfully, it does a lot of stuff really well. And you get into the fine grained detail. Well, how fast do videos play? What kind of processing do you do on content to make it easier? How good is discovery? Like, sure, you might have had a search bar 2 versions ago, but you iterate until your search is really good. So like, really, I think a very good portion of our effort will be making the same stuff better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But new things, I do expect us to finally tackle iOS. It's the only platform that we are not available on. We have a new feature coming out called reposts, not like called reposts. That's what they're called on other sites. It's not something we invented. It's like retweets, reposts on Tumblr.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool because a lot of discovery is channel based on LBRY. And so this way you'll be able to share content from other channels and have people who are followers of that discover it. Also help LBRY users, share stuff, intra LBRY audience building. I think it'll be really cool for that. I feel like there's got to be big stuff they're missing. Oh yeah, we want to really tackle the to the extent that we can. And this one's not going to come out immediately, but onboarding, offboarding. We want people who want to just be able to build an audience via the protocol, who want dollars or other things at the end of the day. We want to continue to facilitate that. It's frustrating how hard it is to exchange cryptocurrency and other currencies at times, and so we want to look at what we can do as a company to make that better.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you guys have a lot on your plate, and best of luck towards that. And with that said, are you guys expanding your team? I know you're obviously looking for more influencers, more people to use the platform, but are you looking for more team members or more strategic partners or more investors or anything else?
Yeah. We're always looking. I don't know. We're probably looking for all of those things if we could run down the list specifically. We are business people, and we like people who have come to us with all kinds of ideas, whether that is people who have ideas for the product, people who have ideas for marketing, people who want to partner with us, promote us. We love working with creators and that kind of thing. We're very available. So I'll actually even go ahead and say, if people want to come and talk to me and pitch me about stuff, sure, you can email me. I'm Jeremy@LBRY.com. You can also find us in our chats and other places. What else was in that question about things I might
strategic partnerships, team members, influencers. I know, obviously you can find them at your email, your website. If there are any other social medias, I can link those all in the description box below for you guys.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say like if Ashton can do the full links of all of our profiles, so you can follow us on on all your desired one. We're on most of them. LBRY TV is the easiest place. Just go sign up there. Just create an account. Follow Ashton so you don't miss any more videos, and it's a great way to start learning about LBRY. Consume your content about crypto on a crypto oriented platform if you're not doing that already.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jeremy. And thank you for taking the time for this interview. And that's all the time that we have this time, but it sounds like you guys are doing great things, and let's follow up in the near future.
Thanks, Ashton.